Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Warm welcome to my YouTube channel, and I thought we'd create my last Thrinchie for my book. So this is my Thrinchie book and I'm on the last page because I'm not going to add one to this back page, although I say that, and I suppose I could have, yes, I could have another two, couldn't I? Because I could have one on the back page, on the back of the book as well. So yes, no it isn't, because I'm going to add one there and I'll have one on the back of the book. So I'll just put a piece of white card on the back of the book. And then we can also create something for the front of the book, because we can use, where are we? Oh, I've got so many things everywhere. We've got TE54 that actually says the word Thrinchies on. So I can use the word Thrinchies on the front of my book when I've added something. So yes, so I will do that. So this is, we've done 63, 64. This is 65 and 66. So we did 65. And if I bring in my iPad, which I can almost reach, I've done, this doesn't reach now. I've done number 65, and I'll add the link to that in the description box. So you've got Thrinchie 65, because we created this. We created this background when we did Thrinchie 64. So when we did Thrinchie 64, oh good grief, that's 64. When we did Thrinchie 65, we created this background. So we'll add something to that. And if you haven't got this background, or I mean really you do need to watch the previous Thrinchie so you can see me create this, but it doesn't matter because you can just blend colour with your Distress Oxides quite easily. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to use an anti-static bag. Now this Thrinchie has been on my desk ages because I haven't managed to be able to get to it because I've had so many things on. And yesterday I spent the whole day doing spreadsheet. Well, my husband puts the spreadsheet together and then I have to fill all the numbers in. Oh, it was just not interesting at all. That's all I'm going to say. So let's just pick this up. Now, have I got that the right way? Should be that way. I'm now talking to myself like you do. So then I'm going to use TE41, which is Zinnia, and I'm going to use the Gora stamp here. And I'm going to emboss this in white. Now, I'm not going to add too much to this, but I want to add this floral. Have I got that facing the right way? It's certainly not straight, I know that much. So let's just... Oh, it's at the bottom. There you go. I couldn't see the word. But what I can do is I can use the acetate to see where I want to place this. So I'm going to place this around about there. And it's wonderful having the acetate just to guide you on what you want to do. So I've just created an inky background. And what I'm going to do, it's a nice clean acrylic block. So I've used my anti-static bag, and then I'm going to use my Versamark ink. So let's tap, tap, tap with that Versamark ink. I have an offer on the website on watercolour card. If you buy a pack of A4 watercolour card, you get a pack free of the Pink Frog A4 Super Smooth card. You don't have to do anything. You just add the watercolour card to your basket, and then I will post a free pack of A4 Super Smooth card in your parcel. You don't need to do anything. So I've added plenty of Versamark on that while I was yakking to myself. And then I'm going to add this just here, like so. And the only reason I use my anti-static bag is because, I don't know, it's been on, this Thrinchie's been on my desk for ages, and I was determined to use that. So let's grab that. And can you see, I still give this plenty of time. Now, we've also got a Thrinchie challenge in my group on Facebook. Create any Thrinchie, any theme, any colour, and there's a prize for a randomly drawn winner. And they're just wonderful mini pieces of art. Can you tell me why I never get a piece of copy paper? It's because I come up here and I literally press film and I just get on with it. Mainly because I have so little time, it's just, I have to just get on with it. So I'm going to use Wow White embossing powder, which is white opaque. There we go. Oh, lovely. Have we got that little bit there? Absolutely lovely. And I'm just going to grab, have I got a little fine brush? I say this every time. Have I got a little fine brush? What's that there? Let me look at me stamp. Oh, it's because I've got some little dots on there, that's why. So I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to heat this, but let's put the lid on because we know how clumsy I can be. And let's heat that. Can't pick that, look, I can't pick it up. Now, I normally heat my heat tool up a little bit before going straight onto the card, but I didn't this time. This is a lovely, lovely floral when it's embossed. Oh, it's just gorgeous. So we're just melting that embossing powder. There we go. Oh, I can see a little bit in the centre there. You can soon spot when you haven't embossed something. And I can see a little bit there. Right, come on, catch. There we go. You soon see it because you've got a flat area. Now this is a beautiful, delicate floral. Now one of my favourite things to do when I've embossed something is to grab my distress watercolour pencils. And I've got all the colours in now, so I can just use whatever I want. So, which one are you? Not Shabby Shutters. Where? So, which set is this? This is set 1. And I can actually get them out because I've got them all in stock. Yay! So, where's the green? I'm after. What colour are you? I spend my life saying, what colour are you? That's crushed olive, no. You can bet your bottom dollar it'll be the last one, or I've just completely missed it. Told you to be the last one. So I'm using, oh, what set is this? Have I not put it on this one? Kitsch Flamingo, I think this is set. So that's set 1. Picked raspberry. So the Twisted Citron. Where's Twisted Citron gone? There. Is in set 2. Set 2. But you can use whatever you want. But I have to say, when I've done some embossing, I do love using these, especially when it coordinates with my background, because I've used distress in the background. So I'm going to take the Twisted Citron. Yum, yum. Then I'm going to take a little bit of water to bring this in. And I'm going to dab this into the water. Because these are woodless, they're not affected by the water. Don't do this with anything other than your woodless ones. But look at that pigment. Oh, yum. So I'm coming in and I can go straight over the embossing. And I just love doing this with the pencils and just bringing that pigment out. It's just delicious. There we go. And then I'm going to grab a nice rich blue. So set 1 and set 2, what's this colour? Because this looks nice and yummy blue. Salty Ocean. It had to be Salty Ocean. It just had to be. Let's put a little bit there. Oh, yes. So a little bit of Salty Ocean. The pigment just comes to life. It's just amazing. The whole pigment comes to life. It's just pops just beautifully. Let's mix these together now so that they're not quite so random. There's not a little bit of blue on that one. Just wonderful. I'm just coming right into the blue just so that we can mix them. And can you see how that colour pops just beautifully? It pops really beautifully. And what we can do is we can add a little bit of colour. Just around. And I think I'm going to do some bigger cards as well. I did do a journal page like this. Let me show you. Is my journal up here? Oh, my journal's downstairs. Is it? Oh, no, it isn't. I can show you a bigger project I did doing this. You just have to find the journal page, don't you, Tracy? There it is. I did a bigger page where I embossed and I used the Distress watercolour pencils. Look at that. Really, the strength in the pigment. Just stunning. Absolutely stunning. And I think I need to do another page to match that because I love doing it. But you can see why I run out of time, because every time I do something, it's like, oh, I could just do this. Oh, I could just do that. And then I run out of time. Just typical. So I've got some beautiful colour here. Look how the tiny bit of water I'm using. Just the tiniest bit of water. It's just wonderful. Let's bring in that Twisted Citron again. And it's up to you how many times you go in and just add the beautiful pigment. Oh, just love that. Absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do now, let's just grab, I've got a shape. Let's have a look. I know. So where is it? we're just going to take this distress background stencil. Let's take this distress background, and I'm going to, I only want a little bit of it, but I want a little bit. I've got loads of things on my desk. Victoria sent me this card stand, so I've got Victoria's cards in my little stand that I had for my birthday. There we go. So that's just on my desk, so I can just look at it. So I'm using Versamark watermark, and I'm just going to just press this. Now I need to press plenty of ink on there. Just twist it a little bit. Twist that a little bit. I don't know whether I'm going to get an impression or not, but I'm hoping that I might get a little bit of an impression. So can you see how firmly I'm pressing with that finger? There we go. Now we might have an impression on there, we might not. But this is why you play. Oh, I nearly just spritzed it with water then. What am I like? And then I've moved my embossing powder so far out of the way I couldn't reach. So let's see if we've got anything on there. I have got a little bit of a diamond on there. Yes, I have. Just got a little bit of the distress background. Also got some extra embossing powder, like you do on your desk, because if you ever use embossing powder, I end up with it everywhere. So let's take the heat tool. I'm going to heat this up because I've already heated one area of the Thrinchie up. Come on, don't take for heavy. Just take a little bit longer with this embossing tool. The light at this time of year is so poor, isn't it? Come on. There we go. Have we gone now? Okay. So you can see I've got sort of the impression of them on there. So what I'm going to do then is just sort of take it so that I've got the pattern on there. Might not necessarily be those ones, but it really doesn't matter. Okay. So then I'm going to take some water, a little dab of water. And I've just dropped that one straight in the water. And then I'm going to take the Salty Ocean. And I'm just going to just add a little bit in the chevrons. Oh, the pigment is just, oh, it's just wonderful. I'm then going to, now when you've dipped them in the water, I always leave mine just to dry a few moments. Then I'm going to pick up the green, and then I'm going to colour into the blue. In just a lovely, easy way. And I've got some of that white embossing on there. And you can just, now look at that. you can then just take your brush and you can just blend that out, and then you've got some of the diamonds just in your pattern. We can then just take our lovely Inktense pencil and we'll just add a little bit of shading to them, like so. Okay. Now, I did have a request, now was it from Anne, about translucent texture paste. So I'm going to stay on this video and I'm going to do a couple more Thrinchies, just showing you some experiments with translucent texture paste. So let me just grab a bit more water. Just blend that out a little bit more. Okay. Then we'll have, do you like how I wipe the water away? And then I think, oh, we'll just have a little bit here. That's me all over. Absolutely me all over. So we'll just take the water again and we'll just add a little bit of the darkness. I love faffing. I'm afraid it's just, I think for 2026, I'm going to be the biggest faffer on the planet because I've decided it's worth it. I sound like that advert, don't I? Because you're worth it. There we go. I do. I sound like that advert. So this is what we have so far. Oh, just love the way the colouring is so simple. It's just the best. It's really simple. Now, with your texture paste, let's go and get that. Texture paste translucent. Okay, so we've got the so this is going to be a long session because I'm faffing, and it's the only way I can answer questions when people have asked me. So sometimes the sessions are long, but this is for my lovely followers who don't mind a long video. So I've got the texture paste translucent. Now, if you put texture paste over this, the translucent, this is a wet medium. These products react with a wet medium, which I still get round that sometimes. What I do is I add a very light layer, very gently, with my palette knife, or you can, you know, as long as you're not dragging it too much, you won't drag that colour out too much, but it will react slightly. However, now you're going to have to bear with me. I always pick up the wrong thing. This is it. Now what we've got on here is Distress Glaze. Now if you put this Distress Glaze on your product, this stops the layers moving. So this is going to last you ages. And you really don't need much. So I'm just going to sort of dab a little bit of that Distress Glaze just on the areas. Now you're not picking up big lumps. You can also do a resist technique with the Distress Glaze. I've got this in stock. I'm sure Amanda did the resist technique. You can put this through a stencil and then you can put your colours over the top and it resists. So if I just place this, and you can see, I'm hoping you can see. I'll show you in a minute. My finger's not got any colour on. So let me just clean my fingers now. That Distress Glaze is going to last you forever. And then if I just grab a little bit of kitchen towel, I don't sort of leave that Distress Glaze having big lumps. I just sort of dab it a little bit. Now I'm not wiping it off, I'm just dabbing it. That's it. And then I can take my, now I'm probably not going to get the same ones, but hey ho, it is what it is. Is it there? Do you like how I try and, there we go. And then, bear with me, you can put your which one is that then? Come on, Tracy. That's it. You can then take your texture paste translucent and you can place it over. I don't want it on all of them, I just want bits of it, you see. But you can place this on here now. I don't want it to be perfect, you see. You can place that on there now. That will be translucent when it's dry, so we'll leave that. But it's perfect because, we'll leave this paste out, and you'll find that the Distress Pod product will not react because I've put that Distress Glaze on there. Right, so we'll leave that just to dry a little bit, and we'll just grab another Thrinchie out. Whoa. And this, for me, is one of the perfect reasons for Thrinchies. If you ever want to experiment with a product, then experiment on your Thrinchies. You're not wasting too much card. If it doesn't turn out, you can die cut something out of it. So for me, it's the perfect way, right, to do a little bit of experimentation, which is what we'll do. So take another Thrinchie. We'll take the same stencil. So we'll take some translucent paste, texture paste translucent. Let me just, now don't forget my stencil's got some colour on. I don't want too much, I just want, right, okay, so I'm not going to move that stencil. And I'm just going to go, bear with me. Let's just clean our palette knife and just be good. And let me just find the name, I'm sure it's Anne. Go to my group. Of course, yes it is, it's Anne Hill. So Anne has asked me if I would just do a little demo with translucent. So here you go, Anne. I'm incorporating it into my Thrinchies. So what I can do now, so have I just got an ordinary sharpener? I don't want to use my best sharpener. I don't think that's going to be big enough. Oh, we'll use this sharpener. Don't be so precious, Tracy. Oh, look at that. It's got bits of sharpenings in there. You mucky pup. So I'm going to bring my bin quite close, and then I'm going to take my sharpener. I want a fat one there, and I'm going to take the Distress pencils, watercolour pencils that I've just been using, and I'm going to sharpen into the texture paste. Okay, so I've used Salty Ocean. One was in set 1 and one was in set 2. Salty Ocean, and we've got the Twisted Citron. And then I'm going to use, come on Tracy. It's because I'm trying to keep everything in camera as well. I'm then going to use Cracked Pistachio. Now the other thing what's going to happen here is, obviously the texture paste, translucent texture paste, is a wet moisture. So that is going to encapsulate inside the texture paste. What other colour do I fancy? What other colour do you fancy? What about a little bit? Oh, I fancy a purple colour. Which set's got a purple colour in? I never go straight to the first one. Which one of you's got a purple colour in? I think it's set, is it set 4 or 6? Oh, this one's got a nice one in. Which set are you? This is set 3. Shaded lilac. So let's crumple some shaded lilac. So I'm just, and you can see I'm not adding too much. Now, obviously, on that stencil is going to be these distress shavings. So it means I can make several backgrounds. So let's see if I can find the one. I'm sure there's one with a, here it is. Which set are you? Set 4 has got a darker purple in there. So let's grab set 4. That has got wilted violet in there. I hardly have to touch adding the shavings. Okay. And then let's just move these out of the way just so that we don't Do you like how half the time I can't even find the lids? Oh, that's because that's over there. There we go. Plonk them over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a light misting of water. And of course I'll have moisture everywhere because that's Tracy all over. And then what I'm going to do is just lift my stencil. Like so. And then what you've got is this will continue to react and you've got your pencils encapsulated within the texture paste. You can spritz that card with water just so it reacts even more and you'll get a little bit of bleed coming out as well. So we'll leave that on one side. So then you've got another Thrinchie you can create, but before we do that, let's just clean our area a little bit. We've got little bits of everything everywhere. Okay. And then let's there we go. You've then got this texture paste and the colours on there. So what you can do is take another Thrinchie, and here I am again after I've just dried the non-stick craft sheet. I've still got the colours on there. I can just place this down onto my piece of card and we'll just dab that onto the card, just using that kitchen roll. What you want to do is just then leave that to dry naturally. Don't mess with it, just let it dry naturally. So you've mopped up sort of, can you see the extra excess? So lift this up and you get another background, which I can put my stencil over and just redefine the edges. Then I can take another Thrinchie. So we've still got this colour on here. We've got a little bit of moisture on here. Then we take this, place it on to here, and then I can just add a little bit of the colours. With the texture paste that's left on there. Yes, I'm messing my fingers up, just so you can see. So you've then got all these backgrounds that you can play with. And you've still not finished, because if I grab a light baby white and you cleaned the stencil, you could also get another background because it's on there. So it's lovely. The texture paste translucent is just a wonderful product because it's translucent and you can actually see through that. So let's just clean this for the moment, and then I'll show you what we can do just to redefine that other one. So just give, can you see how pigmented everything is? Because I've cleaned it several times and there's still some colour coming off there. There we go. Let's make sure that's nice and clean. Just dry this. That's it. Need another piece of kitchen roll now. But you can see I'm just having a play. Now, the one where we added the translucent paste and put some of the distress pencils in there, you can see the translucent paste, and you can see because I spritzed it a little bit more, it's still reacting with that water. We've got the one where we wiped off the excess, and then you've got the one here. Let's just dry this a little bit. So even if you've got one that's a bit, it's got lumps on there because it's got some of the distress pencil or whatever, you can still come in. I don't know whether I'll get exactly, and even though I've put the pencils away, which is just typical, you can then this is why I spend most of my life faffing. So I want the one with the purple, which is set 4. So where's the twisted citron one? Why do I lose the twisted citron one every single time? That's because it's there. There we go. So I can take a twisted citron, and we'll take the wilted violet, and so if you've got one that hasn't got much definition, you can then come back in with your twisted citron, with the wilted violet, because you want that dark colour, and you can come in and just redefine some of those edges, just so that you've got some of those edges redefined, recreating your pattern again. and I've still got some of that texture on there. Then we'll take, I've got the water on my hand, we'll then take the twisted citron, and you can come in and add a little bit of the twisted citron. Now, can you see where it stops? Don't forget I've got that texture paste on there, which you really could do with letting that dry, really. But of course, I just come in and, but I want to show you how, if you've got something where the edges are not redefined, you can come in, paintbrush, you can come in and redo those edges. You can also, let's pick up the pigment. You can pick up the pigment and just add the pigment if you wish, just direct from the pencil. It's entirely up to you how you do that. Now, don't forget, this was just a rub off bit from my stencil, and I've got texture paste on there and everything. And the only thing I'm doing is sort of redefining some of that edge. That's all. It's just a background, so you don't need to worry too much. So let's just clean my brush, clean that area. Just so I've got some clean water. Come in with the twisted citron, and you can come in and just add a little bit more. And can you see I've got a lump, there's a lump there of texture paste and pencil, because of course that was on there from the stencil. So you can just come in and just redefine some of your shapes. So you can have a little play and play with your texture paste, etc. This is the one that is still drying. That will dry and encapsulate those colours. You've got the texture paste. You can see there's some texture paste on there because you see a little bit of shine. And then you've got the one where we wiped off redefined. You've also got the one where we added the distress glaze. So we added the distress glaze so that the colour underneath didn't move, which it hasn't. As you can see, it's now drying, so it's going clear. Obviously, it's still not dry yet, but I will just carry on anyway with my project. But just to show Anne, the colour hasn't moved. So you could colour with these and quite easily put that over. You can also, if we've got a bigger shape, so you can see it. Let's grab the ticket, SS25. Let's grab SS25. So you can, let's grab a piece of card. You can grab a piece of card and you can blend your inks. Oh, let's just use the colours we're using here. So let me grab my inks. Oh, I know what I haven't done. I will do it with this one. We won't do inks. The other thing you can do, nearly forgot. Let's put these pencils back. So I think you were the, have you got the wilted violet in? Yeah. The names of the colours are on the back of the tin on the distress pencils. So it's easy to put them back in the right place. And I have to have them in the right place. Right. But you can also take, doesn't matter what size you're using in your stencils. So let's obviously you would mask off the top of your stencil, not do what I've just done and got it right at the end. There we go. So let's put the lid on there. Again, also the other thing which you really need to do, don't do as I'm doing here. Just, can you see I've got lumps of this? Just make sure that your lid, you don't want it to stick. That's why my lid sticks, because I've got, look, you don't want this around your lid because it'll be like opening. There we go. So just make sure you haven't, that's better, and your lid will shut properly. So you've got this translucent texture paste on there. Now, what have I got here? I've got Take It or Leave It and Cafe Terrace Tangerine. So let's use this colour. Now, you can use any of your Lindy's, and you can add this to your texture paste. You don't really need, I love how it's got like the little shaker tops. So if I just add a little bit of water, you can see some has flirted off from here, but that's fine. This will be encapsulated inside the texture paste. Now, let's just try a little touch of the Cafe Terrace Tangerine. Oh, I've pulled the whole lid off. That's good, Tracy. Try pulling that. That's it. That's it. So I've got the little shaker at the top. Now, you don't need to shake much. And then we'll just add a little bit. Wow, that Take It or Leave It is just a phenomenal colour. But you could add a little bit of this tangerine, and then you could add a tangerine floral. Couldn't you? So what you would do, it's got the texture paste in there, etc. You would allow that to dry now with the Lindy's encapsulated inside. So you'd leave that with that encapsulated inside, and then again you can just wear gloves if you don't want your fingers stained. Doesn't really bother me because I can just wash my hair or whatever, but you can use whatever's on here, and you've got a little bit of texture paste. Well, you've got more than a bit of texture paste on there. There's still loads of texture paste on there, and I've just moved that now, but you could come back in and you can still have your texture and just add some of the Take It or Leave It or whatever of your Lindy's, because now it gives you another use for your Lindy's, and that will be encapsulated within your design. So there are so many things you can do with the texture paste. Obviously, I'm just having a play. I love how that's marbled. So I've literally just had a play. And I started off by creating the Thrinchie and had no plan to do this. There's also texture paste on here, so you could create another background. Now, I had no plan to create these pieces, but then it dawned on me that Anne asked a question yesterday. And while I'm here live, it's always so much easier to answer the question than try and explain it in text format. I'm a visual learner. That's me all over. So I always find it visually a lot more easier to follow. Look at this. Look at that one. It's got the texture paste, what I wiped off, and it's encapsulated in that ticket. Now, a nice blue or purple floral or orange. And again, you can still see. So you've got these encapsulated in there. So where am I going to put that? Who knows? So hopefully I've given Anne some ideas for the translucent texture paste. Now here we've got the translucent texture paste, gives a lovely finish, and my colouring has stayed the same. Right, so we'll finish this Thrinchie after all that. So let's grab another piece of copy paper. But for me, I always think it's really important to do these experimentations, because that's how we learn and that's how we use our products fully. And we want to use our products fully. Now, I need a black edge. There we go. So I've got a black edge on here. This is your faux black matte. And the faux black matte just brings it all together. There we go. Now, you can always do your faux black mattes first so that you don't get in a mess. And then if you're going to make any mistakes, you make it before you create your design. So the faux black matte really finishes that off. Now I've used the Gora flower, especially for Deborah, because Deborah wanted something done with the Gora flower. So now I've answered 2 questions within my video. I'm going to take my Posca pen. We're going to add some splatters. Or we hope to add some splatters. If you're having to work that hard, just get your pen. There we go. Get your pen going. You just don't have to work too hard. There we go. And that, while that dries, before we put it in our book, we'll then go back to, got that, look in here, I've got that many pieces everywhere. So we'll go back to our TE41, and it's got the word Gora on there. So we'll just use that. There are also other words on here as well. I obviously don't know which way, there we go. I'm putting this. Oh, there's the word hope. There is magic all around us, the perfect moment. Just lots of lovely sentiments on there. There we go. Let's grab a little piece of card. Sure, we've got a spare piece somewhere. Of course we haven't. Come on. Would you believe I've used every scrap? Oh, hang on, there's one here. I was going to say I've used every scrap. So I'm going to use this Gora text, and then I'm going to use my black Nocturne ink. So let's take that Nocturne ink. And this is why you save your scraps. I'm looking at this and thinking, might do that with the light bulb. You see, I love saving scraps because sometimes you pick them up and you think, I know we can't save everything, but sometimes they can inspire you to do something else, which is just lovely. My hands are rather dirty, so we'll just have to say I'm liking the translucent paste over my colouring. It's just lovely. Now my hands are slippy, so I'm sorry about leaning over just to grab my scissors. Just to cut my word out. And that stark white will go really nicely with our embossing. And there we go. But I do love the fact that can you see the shine there? And my colours are still bright and work beautifully. I can then add the word Gora, which I'm going to add up there. Just play around. Now you can see that my Posca pen is still wet. Now I've got embossing on there, so I'm just going to hold it a little bit further up, just so that we can dry that a little bit. Just so that it's not quite so runny. It's still a little bit, but there you go. Let's take this. And I am going to add the numbers to these while I'm here, because I'll stop the video and then I get sidetracked with other jobs that need doing. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to take that Gora word. Just there. Or you could add it here as well. It's entirely up to you where you want to add that. I'm going to give that a couple of seconds. I was going to say, how can you lose a book? But nothing is impossible with me. I can now add this to my book. And I'm definitely going to maybe create a card doing that, because it's just lovely. So the colouring is just so simple. So we'll add this. Now when you're doing your Thrinchies, you don't have to have a completed Thrinchie if you don't want. What you can do is you can have a book where you experiment with your products so that you know you're going to use them, and you can add notes as well, just so that those products get used and they're not left on the shelf. So for instance, I could put some black around this, and I could just put notes on the page opposite saying what I did for the technique. And then when I'm short on ideas, I can go and look at my little Thrinchie technique book and do that. I've got one for colour swatches. So these little books just work beautifully. Now, doesn't that Thrinchie look lovely? Oh, I just love them. They do make me happy. So then what we do is we look for TE36 so that I've got my numbers. So let's bring in, so I want 65 and 66. So let's grab that piece of card we had. And obviously you don't have to watch me put the numbers on. You can just stop the video, but I can do it and then I know my numbers are done. So we've got 65. I just need 66, that's all I need. This is where everything falls over. Right. So we take that black ink again. And we can add 65. Just there. Take the 5 off. I am trying to keep things just tidy, which is impossible. And then I just want 66. So I can add that down here. There we go. Now I've got a circular punch. It's one I've had a long time. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it does the trick. So it's not perfect, but it'll do. Is that the one? I don't think this is the... Oh, it is. So let me just... I got this from Amazon, but no idea what the size is because I just bought a couple of punchies and experimented which was the nearest as damn it. There we go. So now I can add my numbers to my Thrinchies. So we want 65. Let's make sure we have got the right numbers. So 65. Now I wasn't going to number my Thrinchies from now on. I was just going to leave them blank, and then you can, you know, choose which Thrinchies you follow, because obviously if we get to Thrinchie 150, you're gonna have a lot of numbers on there, aren't you? So yes, so I thought, well, once I've got to this number, I won't add any numbers to my Thrinchies. We'll just go for it. And then you can decide which ones you want to follow or not follow along with. There we go. That's it. 65 and 66. Wow. We've done a lot of Thrinchies. Let's place that back. We'll lift this up just so that you can see that. Just really does give you lots of ideas. And when you think this book, I started this book with my first Thrinchie, and it is so lovely to look through each of those. Those haven't even got numbers on, like the first ones. They haven't even got numbers on when I first started. But just lovely. So lovely to look back on each of these and appreciate each one. And again, it gives me ideas. I think, oh yes, I can do that with the ink pad lid again. I just love the ideas. I always love that one. And it gives you ideas for cards as well, so that you can create card ideas. I love the hair. auricular. Just really sort of this, I embossed the stencil on this one through my machine. So these are actually embossed light bulbs. I love that one. With the bubble background. Oh, I really like that as well. Nice backgrounds. So it's lovely to look back to see how many different ideas you've come up with. And it's lovely if you visit the group, the members have come up with some wonderful ideas as well. And it just gives you lots of inspiration. Oh, I love them. Whether it's creating cards or whatever. So I have got another 2 pages there, and maybe the front cover I can add to as well, which I'll probably do. But that is your next Thrinchie and some experimentations with translucent texture paste. So I hope you enjoyed that. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.